Thank you all for attending. Good morning. Welcome to the 2026 Annual and Special Meeting of Generation Mining Limited. My name is Jamie Levy, and I am President and Chief Executive Officer and Director of the company. It is my pleasure to welcome shareholders and others present in person, and those watching, the three of you in person, thank you, and those listening via Zoom to this meeting, thank you for your interest in Generation Mining. Sorry, I'm just admitting more people here. We will first proceed with the formal business of the meeting. As highlighted in our Notice of Meeting and Management Information Circular, shareholders joining us via Zoom shall not be able to vote or participate in the formal business of the meeting. Following the formal business of the meeting, I will present an update of the company, and those joining us in person or participating via Zoom will have an opportunity to ask questions. Instructions on how to ask questions via Zoom will be provided after the formal business of the meeting has been completed. The meeting now come to order. I, Jamie Levy, will act as chair of the meeting, and with the consent of the meeting, I appoint Brian Jennings, the company's Chief Financial Officer, to act as secretary of the meeting. With the consent of the meeting, I appoint TSX Trust Company, the registrar and transfer agent for the company, acting through its representative, Ms. Julie Kim, to act as scrutineer of the meeting. In order for a quorum to be present in accordance with the bylaws of the company, the scrutineer reports must show that there are not less than 2 shareholders present in person or represented by proxy. The scrutineer has already provided her preliminary report, and I can report to the meeting that the requisite number of shareholders for a quorum is present and the meeting is properly constituted for the transaction of business. I direct that the final scrutineer's report will be annexed to the minutes of this meeting as a schedule. Notice calling this meeting and the accompanying Management Information Circular in the form of proxy has been mailed to all shareholders of record, to the directors, and to the auditors of the company, and the secretary has received and filed with me proof of the mailing. I direct that a copy of such materials, together with the proof of the mailings, be annexed to the minutes of this meeting as a schedule. Before commencing to the business of the meeting, I would like to comment on the voting procedures. Each holder of a common share on the record date of this meeting, Friday, May 13th, 2026, is entitled to 1 vote for each share held by such shareholders. Based upon information I received from the scrutineer, to the best of my belief, if a ballot was conducted in respect to each matter to be voted upon at this meeting, the total number of votes attached to the shareholders represented at the meeting by proxy and required to be voted against or withheld from voting, which would be the decision of the meeting in respect to each such matter, was less than 5% of all the votes that might be cast at the meeting on each such ballot. Accordingly, in order to expedite the voting of such matters, unless a ballot is demanded in respect of a particular matter, each matter will be voted upon by a show of hands. Each shareholder or proxy holder represented in person at this meeting has right to demand that a ballot be conducted on any resolution, either by the show of hands or hand vote or following that vote. In that case, each shareholder or proxy holder represented in the meeting will receive a ballot at that appropriate time. Following this meeting, a complete record of the voting results for each of the items of business voted upon at this meeting, including the number of votes cast by ballot or proxy, for and against or withheld from voting as required by the scrutineer, will be filed on SEDAR+ and will be available for viewing under the corporation's profile at www.sedarplus.ca. To make the best use of our time of the meeting, certain management shareholders have been asked to move and second items of business which are called for in the notice of the meeting. I shall now request the secretary to table the minutes of the last annual meeting of shareholders of the corporation held on June 24, 2025. The minutes of June 24th annual meeting are available for review by any shareholder. Unless someone wishes to have them read, may I have a motion that the minutes be taken as read and approved?
Mr. Chair, I move that the minutes of the annual meeting of shareholders held on June 24th, 2025 be taken.
Mr. Chair, I second the motion.
We will conduct this vote by a show of hands. All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary, if any, I declare the motion carried. I shall now call upon the secretary to file with the company's records a list of shareholders of the company showing their respective shareholders and the original proxies deposited at this meeting. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second a resolution respecting the destruction of proxies.
I move the resolution as follows. Be it resolved that the proxies forwarded to shareholders for use at this meeting of shareholders of the company be retained with the records of the company for a period of 6 months after that date hereafter, and then that same be destroyed.
Second the resolution.
All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary if any, I declare the resolution carried. I now present to the meeting the audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended December 31st, 2025, and the report of the auditor thereon. The board of directors has approved these financial statements, and the financial statements were mailed to registered and beneficial shareholders who requested a copy. Shareholders are not asked to approve the audited financial statements. However, I will be pleased to deal with any relevant shareholder questions concerning these financial statements after the formal part of the meeting is completed. The next item of business is to fix the number of directors of the company to be elected at this meeting at 6. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second a resolution setting the number of directors at 6.
I move a resolution as follows. Be it resolved that the number of directors of the company to be elected at this meeting be and is hereby set at 6.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary if any, I declare the resolution carried. We shall now proceed with the nominations and elections of directors, and as just approved, the number of directors to be elected at this meeting is 6. Particulars relating to the 6 recommended nominees are set out in the circular. I now declare the meeting open for nominations.
Mr. Chair, I nominate Jamie Levy, Carrie Knoll, Stephen Reiford, Philip Walford, Rebecca Hudson, and Kyle Kuntz as directors of the company to hold office until the next annual meeting of shareholders or until their successors are elected or appointed.
Are there any further nominations? If there are no further nominations, I will entertain a motion that nominations be closed.
I move that nominations be closed.
I second the motion.
All those in favor of the motion, please so signify. Contrary if any, I declare the nomination closed. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second a resolution for the election of the 6 persons nominated as directors and directing Mr. Levy to cast a single ballot for such election.
I move a resolution as follows. Be it resolved that the 6 persons nominated be and are by elected as directors of the company to hold office until the next annual meeting of shareholders or until their successors are elected or appointed. Mr. Levy be and is hereby authorized to cast a single ballot for such election of the 6 persons as directors of the company.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary if any. Based on the show of hands and the vote cast by proxy in advance of the meeting, I can declare the resolution carried, and those nominated have been duly elected as directors of the company to hold office until the next annual meeting of shareholders or until their successors are elected or appointed. The next item of business is the appointment of the auditor and the authorization of the directors to fix the auditor's remuneration. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second a resolution appointing the auditors and authorization of the directors to fix the auditor's remuneration.
I move a resolution as follows. Be it resolved that RSM Canada LLP Chartered Accountants be and is hereby appointed auditor of the company to hold office at the next annual meeting of shareholders at such remuneration as may be fixed by the directors, and the directors be and are hereby authorized to fix such remuneration.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary if any, I declare the resolution carried. The next item of business is approval of all unallocated entitlements under the company's Omnibus Equity Incentive Plan, as more particulars described in the circular. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second the resolution.
I move a resolution as follows. Be it resolved that all unallocated entitlements under the company's Omnibus Equity Incentive Plan be and are hereby approved as more particularly described in the circular.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary if any, I declare the resolution carried. The next item of business is a special resolution authorizing an amendment to the company's articles to consolidate all of its issued and outstanding common shares of the company, as more particulars described in the circular. This is a special resolution and must be approved by not less than 2/3 of the votes cast. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second the resolution.
I move the resolution as follows. Be it resolved as a special resolution that the amendment to the company's articles to consolidate all of its issued and outstanding common shares of the company be and is hereby authorized and approved as more particularly described in the circular.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor of the resolution, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary, if any. I declare the resolution carried. If there is no further business to come before this meeting, I will entertain a motion to terminate the formal part of the meeting. I will now ask someone to move and someone to second the motion.
Mr. Chair, I move the meeting be terminated.
I second the resolution.
All those in favor of the motion, please so signify by raising your hands. Contrary, if any. I declare that this meeting is now terminated. The formal business part of this meeting is now terminated. Before beginning the next part of the meeting, I would ask Brian Jennings to read a statement regarding forward-looking information.
Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that the following discussion may contain forward-looking information and forward-looking statements within the meaning of applicable securities laws. These statements reflect the company's current expectations and are subject to risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially. They are not guarantees of future performance, and the audience is cautioned not to place undue reliance on them. For the complete cautionary language and risk factors, we refer everyone to the company's annual information form and management's discussion and analysis available on the company's website at www.genmining.com and at SEDAR+ at www.sedarplus.ca.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. I would like to provide you with an update, or the real chairman, Mr. Kerry Hill, will be providing an update on our business. He's got a presentation. Should you have any questions or comments, you opportunity to do so at the conclusion of Kerry's remarks. For those attending via Zoom, we have you on mute. I will unmute everybody at the end of the Zoom if there's any questions, or please try to put it in a text box and I'll look for them. And obviously anybody in the room here, you can just ask questions after. Please enter your questions through the chat Zoom box. For those attending in person, raise your hand. I'll read that now. We're going to read that now. If there's no further... Okay, so Kerry, you can start the presentation.
Hi everybody, it's Jenny. Barry Knoll here. I co-founded this company with Jenny. About 8 years ago. I'm going to give a brief presentation. I do have a hard stop at 8:30, so in your time zone, 11. So I'm going to start off with our people, because people are really important in a mining company, especially when you're building in. I've been busy hiring people. The releases on the top right here is Jeremy Wyatt, who just joined us as our Chief Operating Officer. This guy has mines before. He's designed mines. He's been through the game, and we're really happy to welcome him. He's worked in the past with Clinton Swimmer, who joined us last fall as our Vice President of Project. He's going to be really the guy looking after the build. And Rachel for Corporate Affairs and Human Resources, and she's done this a lot of mining companies. She knows everybody in the industry, and she's in charge of those contracts and a whole raft of different things in this company. And Eric Menges as well. He was Senior VP at DRA Global until very recently, and they were one of the bidders on our EPC contract to build the mine. Ruben Wallen, who's been with us now for a while, thank you, Ruben. He is for a lot of big companies, and we just also invested. He was the control recently built a copper mine in Saskatchewan, so he's been through this very recently and has done this during the build. And Jennings, of course, who's been our Chief Financial Officer for a long time, and Jamie was the co-founder. And then I won't get into all the directors, but we've got a very strong board, very, very mining-focused group of people here. So I think you all know we've got a mine that we want to build in northwestern Ontario, which is rated the #1 jurisdiction in the world by the Mining Journal. Itself, we've got our permits. We are trading at a discount, trying to remedy that. But I think people want to see us fully financed and getting close to that. I'll talk about that in a minute. And we've also got very, very strong support, not only from the local Indigenous who are partners in this, but also the province of Ontario and the government who's come up with some financing to help us out. So as metal prices fluctuate, so does our revenue rate down by metal. At this point, this is dominantly a Palladium project back with Palladium a few years ago, but backed off now. But copper's running at current prices or recent prices, 47% of our revenue for 38% Palladium, and the rest a little bit platinum, gold, and silver. And what's interesting is the first 3 years of this operation are going to produce substantially more metal than the average. Especially the Palladium. In the first 3 years, we averaged 210,000 ounces. And we also got some extra copper and platinum as well. So you probably know that our CapEx is $992 million. There's additional monies needed beyond that, which I'll talk about in a moment. But our after-tax value at the feasibility that was done last year was just $2 billion. But at recent stock prices, it was $2 billion. So that's looking forward to in terms of the project. Our payback also has reduced from 1.9 years to 1.3 years on a payback on a base metal mine. It's pretty rare. Generally, they're 2 to 4 years. So that just shows you how robust this mine is. And we I just want to point out that we can produce copper at just over $2 pounds. Just under $800, and very, very profitable at today's prices. And the blue bars here in the are the revenue, the dark blue being the 3-year trading average, the light blue being recent spot prices. So as you can see, in year 2, we've got well over $1.2 billion in revenue, and it is almost $1 billion, and that's why we get the quick payback. But those numbers, close to those numbers, for the first 5 or 6 years of production. I think probably the way we got CBA with partners. We've also got a revised feasibility study that we did 2 years ago.
Hey, Kerry, can I interrupt? You're just kind of muffled a little bit. Can you go a little closer to the microphone, maybe, please?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Okay. That's the best I can do. It's just when there's a meeting, this happens. We let the EPCM contract to Ausenco earlier this year, and as I pointed out, we've been building out the owner team. Now in the middle of the mine financing, this is the key here. So we have a $250 million, $200 more million to come. We've got leases, most of them with others negotiated for $145 million. $310 million US from us to banks. The Canada Infrastructure Bank has offered support debt of $200 million. We have a little bit of equity and working on a couple of other things that we're hoping to have nailed next. So we're getting very close. We do, in addition to that, as well, we're close to having that $1 billion to build the mine, but the issue is, and this is the same for any mine, you also have to have things like closure bonds. You have to have working construction, lease payments during construction, and the lenders are requiring us to have a facility. So there is additional money needed. Still working with governments to put a pin in everything, and it'll all come clear in the next few weeks, we hope. Just a quick comparison of what our goal is in life. Once this mine, we expect it to be in the range of what happened with Fortran. This year it was taken over for $3.8 billion, and their mine is actually smaller than ours. It has a longer payback period over IRR, and that's the value of a built mine in this country. And so that's our goal. Why we're building this mine and not just putting the company up like a lot of juniors do. So that wraps it up. I think we're open.
Any questions for anybody in the room? I'm trying to unmute everybody on here.
How many dollars are required still?
We're still working at the final number, but there's going to be some equity required. We're just trying to find out the least dilutive way we can do it, whether it be equity and such equity-like investments from federal governments, provincial governments, institutions, retail, and that'll be announced very soon.
So it sounds like what, 200 million or?
It's going to be some number. We're not disclosing that amount right now.
Right.
We're just trying to put the final number with what the bank's requiring for, as Kerry said, cost overrun facilities, everything else, and when we have that, we're going to make that announcement. What we're trying to do is, as mentioned, as least dilutive as vendors. I don't know. How do we unmute everybody now? If anybody is having a tough time unmuting, I've got the chat box here if anybody has any questions. Sorry? Oh, there we go. You know, I can probably do it the other way. Just go to unmute each person if you want. So if anybody has any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask a question. I guess there's no other questions or comments. Let me thank you all for those who have joined us in person or electronically for the interest in Generation Mining and our exceptional Marathon Copper Palladium project, the status of which has been validated as an economic, sustainable, low-cost producer of critical metals in the Tier 1 jurisdiction that are needed to support emission controls and the transition to a greener economy, focusing on strategic and critical metals. We look forward to providing you with further updates in the coming weeks and months, and we advance our project to construction decision. Have a very good weekend. Any further questions, please reach out to Chris Haldane, myself, or Kerry. I think you have all of our emails. If there are no further questions, have a great weekend. Thank you. Go Canada.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.